There's a problem here. It's a major problem. I'm usually pretty good at figuring out things and fixing problems, but the problem that I have is this is a Keurig. You use these little cute cups and you make coffee and stuff. And I want coffee, but I don't want that coffee. I want this coffee. But here's the problem. I can't make coffee with that machine at the shop. And it's very frustrating. All right, let's fix this. Ah! Perfect circle. I could not have done it better myself. Now carefully remove the old stuff. Ugh. Ugh. That's cool. We got a little filter in there. I didn't know that. Sweet. I'm gonna need that. This will be most epic. Hot. It's hot, but it's good. All right, let's get back to work. Early morning trip to the big city to go get some iron and a couple augers for that grain cleaner. We're gonna be hauling some grain hard this week. It's warming up outside. So I decided to take off early in the morning, first of the week. We'll get some supplies. That way Legar's can continue to fabricate and build that grain cleaner because he's the master at that. And then I'll get to be a truck driver for a little bit. So let's get to it. All right, I'm back. What did I get? Oh, let's see. A very expensive battery for the Big Bud. And 2 4-inch West Steel AGI augers for the grain cleaner, and 2 sheets of 16th gauge 4x8 sheets of sheet metal to finish out the hopper bottom for that air cleaner. We needed it. So now I'm back. I see the trucks are running. So we'll switch gears here and then get back to doing the air cleaner. It's going pretty good. A little slow. There's a lot of figuring out of things that we're gonna do. But I found something, and that's gotta go. So we really need to have a bigger fan, is what we were looking at. And I was digging around the iron pile and came across this sucker right here. This is an old swamp cooler fan that should fit very well, except for one problem. It's a little deep. So I'm gonna have to cut out that section of expanded metal so I can set it in there and bolt it up. And I also need to cut the opening of this a little bit bigger so it can have more of an airflow. It's a little bit narrower than this, probably about 1.5 inches on each side, which is not bad. We have success. It fits in the trailer perfectly. It doesn't actually drop below the trailer, which is awesome. I'm happy about that. Although I had to cut out my expanded metal. Now the nice thing about this is I said 1.5 inches on each side. Well, it's actually more like 3 inches, but it's an 18-inch wide fan versus a 13-inch wide fan. So it's got a lot more airflow that can go through and clean that out. I'll have to mount an electric motor here that will vary the rate so you can speed the fan up and down. Hopefully that works, keyword. And then what we got going on is we have 2 4-inch augers here from AGI, and this is gonna scare you guys. And you're gonna be like, don't do it, don't do it, but we're gonna do it just because we can. I am gonna cut through the frame, make holes, reinforce them,
And we're gonna take those 4-inch augers, we have to add them together because they're not long enough, and we're gonna shove it through the frame and go all the way to the front. And then it'll end right here. You're probably wondering, why would you wanna do that? Because we can. You guys get it? You understand? All right, let's get back to work. A lot of explaining, too much talking, let's work. Yeah, I agree. One hole cut, beefed up a little bit. I'll probably beef it up a little bit more too. And then I got 2 more, oh, 3 more. 3 more to do. The trailer's got the holes cut out. I put those square tubing, it's a heavy wall square tubing around. I looked for pipes, I looked for anything I could find to weld in there when I cut the hole to slide this in. And the only thing I could find was a 4.5 by 4.5 inch square tubing. It's fairly thick, and I'll probably weld a little bit more plates on it just to make sure it's strong enough. But for right now, pull the flighting out, take one of these augers, got to cut the end off because it won't fit through, and then slide it in and figure out how much I want to cut the other one, and then weld the two together. And then I have to join the flighting together and cut that off too. And then I've got to mount the motor right here and figure out how I want to mount that. And then once that's all done, then it's figuring out this little motor, or little stub right here. And that one motor right here is going to power both. And then I'm going to go over to the Quonset, that's where we keep all of our scrap iron. And I saw a really nice little square gearbox. It'll work great. Just a little bit of fabbing.
Oh, there we go. Oh, we're caught on the bolt. Nope, we're through. We're through. Come on.
One more.
Don't quit now.
Okay, give it a shove.
Sledgehammer. It's
boot it with your boot.
It's really close. Oh.
That's true. Power.
No, snake bite power.
Went over to the Quonset and grabbed that gearbox. So here's the thing that I got to do. It's going to take a little bit of fabbing and a little bit of thinking. But if you think ahead and you start picturing everything for a little bit, give it a few days, you start to come up with solutions. Now here's what I got going on. This gearbox is perfect. It's going to work great, except for one thing. The main 4-inch auger that goes all the way to the back, it spins this direction, okay? When it's taking everything this way, it drops it off. Well, the electric motor's mounted here and has a belt and so forth and runs it. Now this other one, here's the problem that I'm going to deal with. The electric motor sits on that end and I'm going to power it on this end. Well, the rotation for this auger has to go the exact same. This gearbox spins opposite. And the reason for is the two gears mesh each other, and as they mesh each other, one spins one way, the other one spins the other way. Okay? They kind of go together. What I'm hoping, and I've got to do this anyways, is I need to take this gearbox, take the cap off, and I'm hoping what I can do is instead of having the two gears on this side where they mesh together, if I can take the one gear and swap it over here on the opposite side, these two will spin the exact same rotation. That's what I'm hoping for. And maybe, just maybe, I might be able to, if they didn't design in there, I might be able to design a shaft that goes over and you can run it from that side. Chances are it's probably not going to work. They probably didn't design that gearbox for that application. So then the next thing I got to do is I got to run a pulley down here and the belt runs on the opposite side of the pulley. That would be my solution to do that. Because I don't want to spend another chunk of money to buy electric motor for that one, electric motor for this one, to do the same thing. If I can have one electric motor that runs both of them, golden. Does that make any sense? Okay, but this is basically what I'm trying to do. It mounts onto this. You got a pulley like so, and then you have a pulley here, and then you have the electric motor up on top that runs both. And then this one will actually be a little bit lower. It'll be underneath here to catch everything that one's running through. And then the hopper with all the cracked peas and everything else will come down, combine on the two, and head that direction. Let's crack this gearbox open and see what they got going on in there. Well, I didn't get so lucky. They did not design it like I was hoping for, but I might be able to make this work. I'll do some thinking about it. This is what I was hoping for. If you take the two gears and you mesh them together, as you can see, they both rotate the same direction. Now, imagine, because I don't have three hands, imagine that shaft went all the way through and then you spin this direction. So now what's going to happen is as they're locked in together, it'll spin the same direction. Chopped off part of that 4-inch flighting, tacked it all together. When I say tacked, it's glued. Now I'm ready to slide inside. I left a little bit of extra flighting and I'll just cut off what I need. But yeah, Nick's messing with the fan cage and slide in. Now I need to guide it through the bushing on this side. And oh, it's already through. I just need to tap it through. Love it when it works like planned. When I say tap, just use a boot. So I sat here for quite a while trying to figure out my dilemma on how to put this gearbox onto these two augers and make it all work. Because they turn the same direction, well, towards each other, that complicated things. But I was way overthinking it. This is what I'm going to do. The gearbox is going to be connected into the long 4-inch that goes to the back. Then it'll be angled up alongside with this other 4-inch that goes to the top. And you're going to have a shaft go to the top with two pulleys, and the motor's going to be up there. So it's going to drive it over here, and here's the beauty about it. This little auger spins that direction. This auger spins that direction. Guess which way the gearbox spins? In theory, it works. But I need to combine those two together. So I got the sprocket off, and I went in town because it's a different diameter than what we had for that 4-inch auger. Nick's making a lot of noise. And I got to combine those two together. So I could use my friend right here, Mr. Lathe. All right, let's put them together. just have to weld them together, and then once they're welded together, that'll work. I actually might put it back on the lathe and knock off all these teeth, just so it looks nicer. Or I'll just leave it. But using the welder?
Oh, but
Okay, sweet.
I think the next thing I can do is start on fenders. So let's get some iron.
Doing some more fabbing, of course. So this is what I got going on. In case of some reason, we got to remove this 4-inch auger and put a bigger one because it's not big enough. I didn't want to weld it to this, plus if you weld it, you can't get it out. So what I ended up doing is taking the pan that came with the auger, modifying it a little bit, putting some U-bolts so I can clamp it around this one, having a pan that cradles this, opening the opening a little bit, then putting a bushing that runs on this one and this one so this stays centered. And then I'll put a hatch down here that opens up if you want to clean it out. So basically, I've got that all connected. Now the next step is I got to put a stub here up to the top. Actually, a drive shaft is the best way to put it. And when it gets to the top here, then I got to make a bracket to secure this pulley and this pulley. For a drive shaft, I'm just going to use 1/2-inch black pipe because that's basically the only thing we have right now. And that should be plenty. So I made a little adapter, this beautiful thing right here on the lathe. And because this is a metric pulley, so I had to cut it down. I'll have to cut a keyway in that, which is the next step. And then the bearing will slide over this, like so. And then this other small end is going to go down inside, like so. Weld that up and let it move. And then I'll have the original sprocket that came off the gearbox, and I'll cut it out so that black pipe can just slide right in, just a little bit, and then weld it up, and we should be good to go. Good news is I have the keyway in there. Bad news, it's not very long, and the bit broke on the end mill. I'm a little slightly frustrated with that. I've tried to tighten it up, even with the locks on there, but there was a little bit of chatter and hard steel does not go well together, and the bit broke. But I got it done for now. So now you can kind of see what I'm doing. Let's walk over. I still have to make an end piece to fit on the gearbox and cut this to length. But the drive shaft will go from the gearbox, head up this direction. Don't you dare. Oh, he's daring. Okay, it'll stay. Anyways, everything I built, almost slid that off. Everything I built right there should work pretty well. I just have to build a bracket to support this and that. And I won't know until I measure that side and kind of get an idea. And I'll probably do that first before I cut the drive line, is build the bracket to hold this on. Now I have to understand the pulleys are just temporary. They're not actually on there all the way. But now you can kind of get an idea of what's going to go on. So, still got some things to figure out. And then I believe this is the electric motor right here. So that one is going to sit probably right above this pulley. And then you'll have a belt that wraps around all three. And yeah. And then I will put a protective sleeve over that drive shaft, so that way, in case somebody's over here, yeah, we don't want that to happen. But anyways, I think it'll work. And I might end up cut this down a little bit. It's a little long, maybe, or I'll just leave it. It's not quite sticking out past the tires, but it's over the trailer a little bit. It's not a bad thing, it just, haven't decided yet. But I think I'm gonna call it a day and go back to my family and hang out. Yep, that's what I'm gonna do. See ya.